Okay, hi, I'm Maria, and I am the partnerships lead at Nash. And Nash is a last mile delivery aggregator, so we connect all different kinds of restaurants, merchants, pharmacies to over 500 delivery fleets with one API.
Hi, my name is Barnaby Montgomery. I'm co-founder of Yummy.com. We're an online delivery business. We deliver groceries in about 30 minutes from 5 locations we operate here in the city of Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Emre from Pico Mobility, and we provide electric vehicles mainly for delivery purposes. We provide everything, including e-scooters, electric scooters, all the way to electric cars.
Hi, hi. This is Akash from Beans.ai. I'm the founder and chief business officer at Beans. We're a last mile location company. We create last mile data, and then we've built a last mile transport management system on top of our data to help build your own delivery network.
Thanks you all for being here. I think, the panel is about how do we build a world for delivery. And so I'm hoping you all can sort of talk about what you think a world built for delivery looks like. And I guess, how does your company fit into that?
Yeah, I would say Nash came in to solve the problem of not having enough suppliers or enough driving fleets to deliver for the demand that we were getting, especially during the pandemic and right after the pandemic. So by connecting everyone when it comes to restaurants, pharmacies, retailers to over 500 delivery fleets, we made it simple for them to have access to the drivers and delivery fleets that they didn't have access to before.
So we believe that the offline world is pretty compelling and that most people don't need or want a delivery. So our perspective on soliciting demand is to offer a service that is better than a trip to the store in some way. And that means that I'm trying to appeal to people who don't need a delivery, but who can be induced to order. And that fundamental fork in the road it creates a very high barrier to entering the market, because we're not presuming that there exists a situation where we're all locked at home, where we're old or where we're sick. Instead, it has to be better than a trip to the store because it's faster or more convenient, it costs less, or you offer some type of assortment that's better than your local alternative.
As Pico, as I said, we provide electric vehicles for delivery purposes. 90% of the delivery drivers do it part-time, and over 85% of them do it less than 20 hours a week. So the money that they make delivering products is not enough to justify for a lot of them to go get a vehicle. So 60% of the people who would like to make money delivering do not have access to a vehicle. When you think about financing a vehicle, by the time you add the insurance, maintenance, gas, it doesn't justify for them to get the vehicle. So our goal is to give easy access to specialized vehicles for the delivery purposes. So a lot of what we do is related to e-scooters, electric scooters, but we are not just an electric scooter company. We believe in matching the right vehicle with the task. So we do two-wheeled scooters, three-wheeled scooters, some electric cars, some motorcycles, just launching now with the Solo product. And again, we want to make having an access to a vehicle easy by subscription programs. So we allow the drivers to vehicles with weekly subscriptions, monthly subscriptions, without being locked into a long-term contract. So as long as they want to deliver, they have access to a vehicle. And if the need is not there anymore, they can simply return the vehicle and walk away. So we try to make it as flexible as we can.
In our opinion, there are two key parties when you talk about a delivery network. Right? One is the customer who's ordered the food or grocery, and the second is the delivery driver. If you think about the delivery driver, they care about earnings and costs. You have to make the earnings predictable. Those earnings have to be predictable every 15 minutes, every hour, every 2 hours throughout the day. And their costs have to be predictable. Their vehicle maintenance costs, the cost of trying to waste time, failed delivery costs, all have to be predictable. I have driven as a delivery driver. When we were starting the company, I registered as a delivery driver across 6 platforms and did like 1,000 deliveries. And all the platforms promised me $24 an hour. I was barely making 14, 15, 16 because, hey, I was lost trying to find the customer. I was lost trying to find parking. I lost my car once when I was delivering to Stanford to a student in one of the dorms. It was such a maze. I parked my car somewhere. It took me 10 minutes to find the dorm. And then when I found the dorm, I forgot where I'd parked the car. There goes my margin as a delivery driver, right? So the delivery driver is a key component in the customer. We all want our customers to get the delivery with one click. There should be no interaction with the driver. The driver should not be calling you, where are you? I can't find you. Where is your apartment? What's your gate code? Do you have a dog? All that data has to live as a commodity in your delivery apps so that everything is predictable and both parties are having a seamless experience.
I think I read, Akash, that when you all were collecting data, you paid like gig workers to give you all data on this, and that's kind of how that's helped you map out neighborhoods and that sort of thing. So I'm kind of wondering what were some of like insights that stood out to you from hearing from gig workers on, what were some things that stood out to you?
There's a lag between my mic switching on the button, so you guys will have to bear with me. So we did employ gig drivers. We have employed about 1,200 drivers across the US to start collecting our data. And we started realizing that the reason why we all don't get deliveries consistently is because maps were never made for deliveries. If you think about Google Maps, Apple Maps, they're made for navigation, going from point A to point B. They're not made for deliveries. They cannot tell you after coming at point A, once Google says you've arrived, that you have to park the car here. There's the entrance of the building. Then you have to go 13 floors up. You have to take an elevator. You have to badge in. There are 6 additional steps that can take 15 minutes. And those are the problems that I think the gig economy and the drivers in general are facing that I think all of us here are trying to solve.
Cool. Sort of broadly, what do you all feel are the, major obstacles to your businesses? I know Barnaby, your business, they sort of stick to an expectation of receiving a delivery in 30 minutes or so. Is that right? And I guess how do you do that? Like that's very fast.
Well, I think that's an interesting question. What's the impediment to success in the business? And really the first problem is demand. And, as I indicated at the beginning, I believe the offline world is really compelling, as well as the supermarket solutions. Because I deliver groceries, I'm inherently competing with supermarkets, which offer, an incredible selection at great prices in compelling environments. And getting people to order online is the fundamental problem, right? Why are they going to order online? Now, once I make that promise to the customer, I have to deliver on it. And we do that by controlling all of the elements of that supply chain from our store to the customer. We're old-fashioned in that we own inventory, we operate facilities, we have paid labor, W-2 labor that receive a wage, we provide vehicles, and so we're able to execute on the promise with control. And I think it's relatively reliable. It's important to note when evaluating our business or comparing us to others, our business, we've never raised any money. So everything you see or know about Yummy.com is funded by the customers, right, over time, developing solutions that pay money profitably that gets reinvested in the business. And so I think that in considering the different speakers and the different things, that's something that makes us different. And that's why our business looks the way it does.
I think it's been sort of very clear that a lot of the demand for delivery was born out during like the pandemic, and that created a lot of that created a lot of space for new companies, and I think including Nash. And so I guess with some of that like pandemic created demand going away, like I guess like why is it worth like building a world for delivery, and how do you see how do you like why is this like continuing to be important?
Yeah, I would say that we live in a very different aspect than where Barnaby lives in. Nash lives in the world where people want the convenience of delivery. So, in order to deal with, let's say, the lowering demand in restaurant delivery, we've pivoted to other areas, flowers, retail, pharma, and the people that want the convenience of delivery there. And so what we've done is work with partners in order to get them to, let's say, like hyper localized, let's say their grocery store or their flower market as essentially like that's their warehouse and department, and helping them gain revenue and business by being able to hyper localize their one store as like their delivery hub, and being able to conveniently deliver to their local customers from there. So we just live in a slightly separate world where we took the actual like grocery stores or retail spots and turned it into a localized warehouse, and made that delivery a convenience factor, and are working, let's say, marketing, first party deliveries, saying like, let's go ahead and support our local community, and raising awareness there of saying, hey, that delivery is convenient. So deliveries have actually just stayed neutral or gone up since the end of the pandemic for us.
Got it. This question of like sort of like local delivery, I'm hoping all of you can sort of answer the question of like why do you feel having delivery service locally is important?
Yeah, I can start us off. So I would say like just like you want to support your mom and pop shop that's like down the street, especially we saw the rise of this during the pandemic and post-pandemic. There are actually local delivery fleets that these mom and pop shops want to support too, and regional fleets as well. So I think more people are wanting to have the convenience of delivery while also supporting their local community, and I would say a second layer to that is like using a local delivery fleet on top of that.
I think community is something that's utilized by marketing teams in the grocery business. I bring that up because we consciously position our stores at the corner of Main and Main in your community because we want the delivery service to be an amenity, right? And semantically, we view the delivery as an amenity more than a utility, right? Because we don't believe you need a delivery. Instead, it's an amenity. And when it is positioned in a neighborhood market at the corner of Main and Main in your community, you become attached to it. You are now aware of it, and hopefully you build a relationship with it that you view as an amenity. And there's a true personal relationship with the service. That's how we think about that topic.
Yeah, like double clicking on what just Barnaby said. So amenity and necessity, right? There are two kinds of things. You could like, the way I think about it, there's everything that you can find at a Walmart, and then there's everything that you cannot find at a Walmart, right? For example, some of our customers do organ transplant deliveries. It would be weird if I can go to Walmart and actually go and select the heart I want for my transplant. So in those cases, deliveries is a necessity. Everything I find at Walmart, the delivery is an amenity, right? And both things are growing. As a necessity, deliveries industry has been here for the past 50 years. But once the amenity started growing, once the food delivery business, grocery delivery business started growing, it has trained even the couriers in the necessity business on how to run an efficient company, how to run a company where drivers are making more money. And in turn, it's helping grow both sides of the business.
For most merchants, a lot of the orders, over 80% of the orders come from within 2 to 3 mile proximity to where they live. So people, you know the saying, think global, live local. So people live in neighborhoods and they order frequently from the same places. So most people order from the same restaurants, same grocery store, same retail store. So, and it's within that close proximity. So that's why a lot of what we do is related to electric scooters, because if you need to ride 2 miles, you don't need to ride a 3-ton SUV to deliver a 3-pound burger. So there's the sustainability part of it too. So if you're gonna be local, helping the local community, in a lot of cases, using the right vehicle, the right size, single occupancy, green vehicles is the right fit. And going back to what you said earlier about if the delivery is here to stay, even though pandemic is kind of over, right? There's the huge convenience factor for the consumer. That's what drives the industry, the delivery vertical at least. But when you look at it from merchant's perspective and driver's perspective, for the merchant, it's a completely new channel to reach their audience, right? And from driver's perspective, as I said earlier, a lot of people do this on a part-time basis. It gives them the flexibility that they need. A lot of them may be students, or they may have a second job, different job. So driving to do deliveries give them the flexibility that they need. So it's a win-win-win. It's the combination of three different worlds: the rider who is providing the service, the merchant who is providing who has the offering, and the customer who needs the convenience. So all these elements are still here. So, and they are here to stay. It has nothing to do with the pandemic. Maybe the pandemic helped to expedite that process and had a boost effect on it. But still, that the problem that we are solving in the delivery vertical is here to stay.
Kind of going off of that, I know that I think in one of your blog posts about Pico, like you kind of encourage drivers that use your vehicles to, yes, use sort of existing platforms to build their customer base, but like you also note that like there are pretty hefty fees attached to that kind of impact both like merchants, so like restaurants and that sort of thing, but also sort of taken off the top of like drivers' fees. So I guess like first for you, Emre, I'm wondering like how do you like do you think that having that some of the costs associated with adding deliveries for both merchants and drivers, like how do you think about that? And I think yeah, just how do you think about it, and how do you think that should be handled?
So there's a place for everyone within this ecosystem. So the platforms bring something super valuable to the table, in the sense that if the platform is bringing you a customer that you wouldn't have without that platform, because they are spending hundreds of millions every month in marketing dollars to become the hub for people to use it as a marketplace. And as a result of that, if the merchant is receiving a customer that they wouldn't have without the platform, that is a huge benefit. And we are not here to replace the marketplaces. We are not here to, we are here only to complement what they are bringing to the table. So if they are bringing you a customer you wouldn't have without them, then they deserve the commissions they charge, the delivery fees and everything else. But again, we just said that, I think we all said the same thing. In the neighborhood, you have your own customers coming to you directly as the merchant, people who are familiar with your offerings. I'm a Yummy customer. I live 2 blocks away from Yummy store, and we love the service. So, we sometimes walk into Yummy and, buy our stuff, and sometimes we may want to order. So if we are local to a merchant that we love, and we want to order directly from that merchant, we should be able to do that. And if the merchant has that customer, they should be able to provide that product or the service, whatever it may be, directly to their own customers. So if the customer is coming directly to the merchant shouldn't need to send that customer to a platform and pay high commissions on their own customer. That's not only the commission part, but there's also visibility. You lose visibility to that customer, you lose opportunities to upsell, cross-sell, promotional options, all of that. So what we are trying to do is we say, you know what, if the customer is coming to you from any of the channels, it may be your own website, your own app, it may be a phone order, whichever channel it is, let us help you with the delivery of that. But if the customer came from the platform, you don't need to turn that down either. So both of these solutions can live together.
For those of you that work directly with merchants, like what are you kind of hearing from them? Have you heard that delivery is kind of, yes, definitely a win for them, or what are the concerns that they've brought to you?
Yeah, I would say it's a like tit for tat situation where first you have those marketplaces that take a commission from a lot of the merchants, and that's why you can see that everyone's developed a platform for first party delivery where you can go exactly to a merchant's website and order delivery from there, and they can create what that delivery fee is going to be. And then they can also create fees that help support their own staff, such as like a service fee too. I think that all of us have mentioned that delivery is a convenience. So it's trying to find that right space of what is the cost of convenience for your ideal customer, and making sure that everyone wins in that space too.
I asked sort of if you work directly with merchants, which I believe you do, like what are you hearing from them? Have they said delivery is like a net positive for them? What concerns have they sort of brought?
Well, we are the merchant, and in our 5 locations, delivery is foundational to our existence. We have one location that's 90% delivered. It's our complete identity. At some level, it's our reason for being. We're fundamentally part of the community, but we're there to provide a convenient amenity to the neighborhood, and different communities respond to it differently. It's clearly an opportunity to be relevant to customers in a marketplace that is totally and completely saturated by merchants who do a great job in their own way, whether it's price or assortment or convenience. Everybody in the marketplace is doing a great job. So delivery provided us with a reason for being.
Right. So like your whole operation is like you are the merchant and you are the deliverer. So like maybe you can speak like what is the benefit of having your own delivery service versus, going somewhere else?
Well, control can't be underestimated, because I think in comparison to our competition, our service would probably be more reliable. But from an economic standpoint, by owning and controlling all of the means of production, we own all of the margins and all of the costs. So we're not really delivering groceries. From a business perspective, we're delivering a basket of gross profit, less costs with something left over. And so we manage, by controlling all of these things, to generate an average order and enough margin on that order, less cost to be a profitable business. So by owning and controlling all of these elements, I think that's how we've been able to survive without ever having raised any money.
Got it. Thanks. I know you're like a very local company, so I'm just like, because I'm from LA, and just wondering, I guess, is there something is there something you've noticed about like where people really want deliveries and in the space that you operate? I'm wondering, like, in sort of your 5 different stores, like, what's your like busiest location where people making a lot of deliveries? I'm curious.
Yeah, demand is totally driven by the demographics of the community. That's the most important thing. The second most important thing to deliver demand is the facility that is relevant and known by the community. So as a multi-channel grocer, right, a business with a store in your community, the extent to which you have a personal relationship to the box, either because, like Emre, you live a block away, or because you see it because it's conspicuous on the corner of Main and Main, those are the two things that generate demand for delivery. Demographics and a quality storefront open to the public in the community. And this isn't a venture capital seminar, but there's a lot of people who've raised a lot of money delivering groceries quickly from dark stores. And based upon what I know, that is not viable because the only way to acquire customers is through paid advertising. That's a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for losing money. And so demographics can never be escaped. And the quality of your facility and the community are really the keys to the business.
What's your like what's your store that's like the busiest in terms of delivery?
I measure it as a percentage of a population that orders on any particular day. So if there are 100 households in a community, how many orders can I expect from that 100? And I'm not going to tell you that number, but it varies widely, and it in part is based upon geography of the customers in relation to the store. It's important the demographics, but it varies. And
Got it.
average order is also an important player in this game, right? Because we do not deliver convenience store products. We're not a convenience store, right? We're not in competition with certain venture-funded competitors who are delivering you, a package of Twizzlers and 4 rolls of toilet paper, right? We're bringing you a relevant basket of groceries that will satisfy your needs for food at home for several days.
Thanks. I think we know broadly some of the bigger like rideshare and delivery platforms, like environmental impact is something of a concern that's come up, and increased congestion in cities. And so I'm wondering, how your businesses seek to sort of address this. And I know, like, maybe we can start with Emre, because I know, you're having a lot of they're electric vehicles. So can you speak to sort of what are the concrete, statistics or ways that your vehicles work that make it a more eco-friendly alternative? And yeah.
So I have a hard time hearing the last part. Concrete statistics on
I'm wondering like how it is that like your vehicles are like make delivery more eco-friendly.
how they are better fit for delivery in a sense.
Yeah.
So again, it all depends on what kind of product you are delivering. Groceries is totally different than restaurant food delivery versus retail delivery. So we believe it's all about using the right vehicle for the job. To use it as an example, for restaurant deliveries, we have the two-wheeled and three-wheeled scooters with large tail box with food-grade insulation to keep the order warm or cold, depending on what it is. So we think that those vehicles are perfect fit for that job. But if it's a retail delivery, it may be a different. So we are not a scooter company. We are a mobility company in the sense that we want to match the right vehicle for the job, right? And make it accessible using the subscription programs. So I'm not sure if I'm answering the
Yeah.
question, but
I'm kind of wondering, like, why do you feel like the vehicles you provide help with like congestion and like reduce the environmental impact?
right. So again, all these vehicles are specifically designed for the purpose. Just to give an example, with the scooters, we have portable batteries that you can simply take it off the vehicle and plug it into a regular wall outlet. So you don't need any charging infrastructure. Just a regular 110 volt plug is sufficient. So that's one advantage. There's no need for any infrastructure. They are modular with minimum maintenance need. The maintenance, when you add the cost of maintenance, insurance, gas of a traditional vehicle, I don't mean to repeat what I said earlier, but if you're going to deliver a tiny package of a burger, using an SUV probably is a waste of resources and against the sustainability mindset. So, and in congested, urban areas, being able to zip around with a small vehicle that, not being stuck in the traffic. The other thing is they are limited to 30 mile per hour speed on purpose so that you don't need special licensing. Just a regular driver license is sufficient. So those are the right vehicles for food delivery, but we are just launching the program with the solo vehicles, which have, enclosed body, better for a lot of different climates. And they can get on the freeway. They can go up to 80 mile per hour speed with a range of 100 miles. Again, it's all about matching the right vehicle for the job to optimize the energy usage and the resources.
What about the rest of you? Do you want to talk a bit about how, like, the problem of congestion and how your company seeks to address it?
Yeah, I mean, like if only all of us could like copy the model that they have in Europe, where everything is essentially delivered by bike. What we do to help solve it is that we take a look at the size of your package and, like Emre said, decide what is the best vehicle that's going to deliver it. So for hot food, going 0 to 3 miles, especially in a highly populated metro area, a bike is going to be the best way that's going to get it there, so we can cut down emissions that way. Another thing that we do is do hyper batching. So let's say that we need to get 20, 30 orders out that are in the same area. We can do that all in one vehicle, or being able to batch that together. So it's not, you don't have exactly one driver going to each and every single point. So I would just saying exactly what Emre said, you just need the right vehicle for the right delivery.
Do you know sort of how, like, for Nash, like, are there a lot of deliveries being made by bike and that sort of thing? Do you sort of, can you
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of fleets that do bike deliveries. We're starting to partner even more with all of these electronic catering or electronic like motorized deliveries, autonomous deliveries. We're in a space where we want to partner with as many delivery fleets as possible. So that includes having everyone that has implemented bike fleets, especially those in highly like metro and congested areas. And that's our way of being able to get it to the end customer in the best way possible, the quickest way possible, and most efficiently.
Yeah, I want to add something like to this congestion. We all think about congestion. We all think about metro areas, New York. Whenever we think of deliveries, we think of San Francisco, Boston, New York. Only 15% of all orders in US come from downtowns, right? 85% of all deliveries that Spark, DoorDash, Uber Eats are doing, FedEx, they're coming from suburban areas, rural areas, Mountain View, Culver City, all those rural areas, difficult to find areas where it's going to be very hard to replace them, the existing vehicles, right? So to solve for congestion, you don't need to solve for congestion in suburbs, right? Or in rural areas. You need to solve for the location, trying to find the exact user where they are. If they're in a big farm, where do you enter that farm from? Because if you go on the wrong side of the block and there's a 2 mile long driveway, you're wasting a lot of gas and time. Same thing with, let's say you're going to a hospital with 15 buildings. Maps will always take you to the front door. How do you find the exact location, exact building, the exact elevator, the exact suite that you have to go and deliver the food to? I think the moment you go out of downtowns, those are the things that you can, we as companies have to start thinking about to reduce the single biggest enemy in the delivery space, that's failure. I think failure is the single one word that all of us here on the couch afraid about. We don't want delivery failures. Every time there's a failure, we lose a customer. Our customers lose a customer, so failure is something we all hate. And like in downtowns, yes, EVs, electric vehicles, bikes, they can start coming in. And the moment you go outside of downtown, it's critical to start understanding the address infrastructure for the addresses you're delivering to.
Thank you. I think we're close to being done, so I think this might be the last question or two. But I am kind of in the same vein. I think transportation officials have said, like anecdotally, that during the pandemic, like air quality improved on sort of West Side neighborhoods, which tend to be wealthier, and the opposite kind of happened on the South and East sides. And they found like a lot more people had like fallen out of their jobs in those neighborhoods in the service industry and like started driving for tech like delivery platforms. And so I think like, especially these days where we have a lot of talk about like labor protections. And I think like, I'm wondering like, how do you respond to sort of the criticism out there that like some of these types of platforms are increasing like the workforce of like increasing the contract workforce, which is more flexible, but arguably also sort of degrades some of like those employee worker protections. So yeah, I'm kind of wondering like how you sort of respond to that and think about that, and also how do you sort of ensure that workers are paid fairly and in your business models?
Well, so gross profit, less cost with something left over is the business, and the new crowdsourced models are really focused on cost, right? Driving the cost of the service down by leveraging the tip, which you all make in advance of receiving the service. So it gives the system the ability to give a driver the following promise: I'll give you $3 and I'll let you have the tip if you do that delivery. Who wants to do it? And searching, somebody raise your hand, okay. And so that leveraging of the tip, driving the costs of the service down to the enterprise, is a fascinating development in the history of the country, right? I mean, the genius of it, I'm not saying it's good or bad because I don't do it, but I'm just saying, wow, that's incredible.
And also just to clarify, your employees are, they're employees, right? They're not.
Yeah, we're fully vertically integrated. We have W-2 employees that get paid according to old-fashioned rules and laws and minimum wage requirements with breaks, expenses. So fully integrated, old-fashioned.
Yeah, we give the fleets more business, so we don't really control how their workers are being paid, how they're being hired or fired. But like Barnaby said, what we do control is the tip that's being passed through to them. So we do advise when the tip is low to bring that tip higher and to make sure that they know what types of drivers are delivering these orders and making sure that they're being fully compensated on the tip end for what they're pushing through. We just empower more fleets to do deliveries, but we don't actually own their drivers, so we can't really say or enforce that they pay their drivers a specific amount. But what we can do is help make sure that the end customer is passing through the right tip to that driver so they feel fully compensated on that end.
I think right now most of the platforms, if not all, are using the crowdsourcing of the drivers based on a auction-based pricing, flexible pricing model, which works amazingly well. But in the long run, I don't think it will stay as the only model. I'm expecting more pricing models to develop over time. A lot of companies are testing different solutions. And I think it has a lot to do with the consumer's expectation. What is the cost of that convenience, right? Right now, I feel like that expectation of the consumer is a little unrealistic. But there will be, I'm expecting at least some adjustment to that over time. It will change a little bit. Right now, that cost is embedded into like 5 different places so that you don't have the sticker shock of one number, but there's a 50 cents cost in like 20 different places on your invoice. But that being said, there will be some adjustment to the expectation of the consumer. That there will be some change. And some of these new business models, one of the things we are trying or we are testing right now is a hybrid of the two, meaning instead of having W2 internal employees like you mentioned, still have a driver network, but having this driver network dedicated to hubs and zones and serving that area exclusively. So you are not fighting for the same task and hustling to get the task for the maximum price, but you have your exclusive zone, so with a predictable income. So it's not like, oh, Monday I had an amazing day. Like the person in Vegas, right? You only remember the day that you won a lot. You never talk about the 20 days that were horrible. So it's the case with a lot of delivery drivers, right? They talk about, wow, that big tip and that great day. How about the days that you made $8 an hour? You don't want to talk about that. So that's why I think there will be more pricing models and more business models to get tested.
Akash, did you have any sort of thoughts on the?
I think Barnaby and Emre covered it very well. I can speak from the perspective of a vendor who's being used by over 600 courier companies. We have companies who have W2 employees. We have customers who have independent contractors, delivery drivers. The one common theme about the people who are running their businesses, their delivery businesses successfully, is that they've set up their drivers up for success. The drivers have access to some great safety training. The drivers have access to insurance. They have access to benefits, and they're doing very diligent timekeeping. There's clock in, clock out, breaks, all those things. So it's very important for the vendors to be able to supply these features to the end delivery company so that they can run their business efficiently. But that's the common denominator we've seen across companies who are not skirting the lines with the law, and they're growing their business.
Thanks. And I know we're over our time, so this end on this like sort of maybe answer this kind of rapid fire, but like kind of based on what you said, Emre, like is the customer's expectation of delivery like super unrealistic? Yes or no, and maybe like 2 other words.
I would say yes. Everyone's trying to find that sweet spot of making the delivery as cheap for the customer as possible, while also monetizing and making a profit off of it. And right now, that cost from the customer is super low. So I think it is pretty difficult right now to find that sweet spot with the super high expectations that you have of like getting free delivery and things like that have come through in the past. So being able to match that, I think, is pretty difficult. And everyone's working right now to try to find that sweet spot of what is that true convenience cost that people will pay moving forward.
I don't know if it's unrealistic. We're providing the service at a rational price, delivering reliably within 30 minutes. As long as the venture capital and capital sources are willing to subsidize other models, they'll just ultimately figure out a way. I mean, there's some demand that can be rationally served, and I don't know what's unrealistic. The 15-minute delivery is not viable, but you can clearly deliver anything in 30 minutes because I do it.
Right now, a lot of investment goes into building that customer base and to build that audience. There's a lot of money that's coming in to support that, but it's not sustainable in the long run, right? So in the long run, there has to be some adjustment. And as part of that adjustment, there's going to be adjustment to the customer expectation as well. I don't mean to repeat what I said earlier, but I think that there will be a shift in the industry on if the burger costs $8 in the store, can you eat it at home for $8.50, right? Is that reasonable? Is it sustainable? So I think as a consumer, we will all learn the answer hard way, and that adjustment will happen.
I think the customer expectations are absolutely unrealistic. They're like bonkers. And that's why we are in business. That's why companies like all of us are in business. What I tell my customers, my delivery companies who are using our platform, guys, define your ideal customer persona. Don't go after acquiring every single customer that you can go after. Get the most bang for your dollar. Find which customer's expectation is more realistic for your delivery business, and then just go after them.
Okay, great. Thank you all for being here and super interesting for me. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.